On October 7, 2022, the U.S. drops a bombshell on the tech world, sweeping new export controls, aiming to cut China off from advanced chips and the tools to make them. Coming just weeks before ChatGPT would set off the AI boom, the decision would strongly shape U.S.-China relations and global tech competition over the next 3 years.
Last week, we launched significant, carefully tailored restrictions on semiconductor technology exports to the PRC. These technologies are used to develop and field advanced military systems, including weapons of mass destruction, hypersonic missiles, autonomous systems, and mass surveillance.
While previous restrictions had targeted single companies like China's Huawei in 2019, this was a major escalation, covering the entire chip supply chain.
What happened between 2019 and 2022 was AI, right? I mean, basically, AI came into the picture. And the idea was, wow, AI is getting really capable. And at some point, you might want to control who has access to it, in particular, malicious actors.
There are different perspectives, and I served in the Biden administration around this time. And so I know that the federal government the Biden administration, the federal government was very focused on targeting not kind of the whole supply chain, essentially, of semiconductor and underlying AI technologies.
Beijing strongly objected from the start, calling it an attempt to contain China.
美方将科技和经贸问题政治化、工具化、武器化，阻挡不了中国发展，只会封锁自己，反噬自身。
Beijing feel like this is a clear signal of containment of China, and they were shocked at the scope of these type of controls.
A key enforcement tool, known as the Foreign Direct Product Rule, extended the ban not just to U.S.-made products, but to any product made with U.S. technology anywhere in the world. That had a huge impact, even on companies in Taiwan, like chip giant TSMC.
Even in 2020, TSMC had to stop collaboration with Huawei. And at that time, Huawei was something like 15% of TSMC's revenue. The China market, if you look at TSMC and where it was poised to go before the controls, was certainly impacted.
The rules applied not only to chips, but also chip-making tools like lithography systems. That required buy-in from governments and companies in countries like the Netherlands and Japan, where these key tools are produced. To comply with the rules, some chip designers, like US-based NVIDIA, began making new, slower chips specifically for the China market. But in 2023, China began to hit back, banning products from US memory maker Micron and computers deemed sensitive, citing serious network security risks, which the US says were false.
The recent announcement by the PRC regarding Micron, we believe, are not based in fact. And so the Department of Commerce is engaged directly with the PRC to detail our views on this.
In October 2023, almost exactly 1 year after the controls began, the U.S. expanded restrictions to cover new China-only models from NVIDIA and other loopholes, while China banned exports to the U.S. of critical minerals used in military and 5G devices. In April 2025, President Trump, back in the White House, announced his Liberation Day tariffs on every foreign country. China was hit hardest of all, with some tariffs exceeding 100%. China retaliated by issuing its toughest restrictions yet, cutting off multiple rare earth minerals to U.S. companies.
I want to just stress how important that is. The world is very different because China now has the ability very quickly to cut off, and damage U.S. companies very quickly. So that gives them, they don't want to overuse that, but it gives them a significant leverage.
That's a moment where rubber meets the road, and the U.S. decision maker realize, they have a bargaining chip too, and it's equally powerful as ours.
Just as the tech war seemed to reach a boiling point, both sides pulled back. By June, tariffs were lowered and rare earth bans were lifted. But the friction continues. NVIDIA's attempt to sell its China-only H20 chip saw White House intervention, with Trump demanding a 15% cut of its sales. The U.S. recently extended export controls to the subsidiaries of sanctioned Chinese firms. After 3 years of export controls, have they worked as their creators intended?
At one level, yes, you could argue there has been success in slowing down the ability of Chinese companies to train advanced AI models. However, at the same time, Chinese AI models are very capable, and Chinese companies now dominate the leaderboard for virtually all open source, open weight models.
I think the near-term effect is very clear. They want to delay China's technology progress for a few generations, and they definitely achieve that. I think like 8 years, 10 years from now, whether Chinese can create their own substitute for EUV and find a way to manufacture in a way that's comparable to TSMC, I think that's the bigger question.
Now, all eyes are on the upcoming APEC summit in South Korea, where the two presidents are scheduled to meet and negotiate a potential deal.
We could wake up in March of 2026 with a significantly different world where there has been a deal over sort of trading rare earth access for export controls. This is one potential scenario.
When are they going to close the TikTok deal? Whether China will purchase those soybeans and airplanes, and whether U.S. government will take half step back on their Taiwan position. I think those are things that take a lot of time to negotiate those details.
Regardless of any deal, the underlying competition may be here to stay.
There aren't all that many areas of overlap in our last two U.S. administrations' thinking and approaches, but on export controls and on U.S.-China technology competition, especially in these really important technology areas, there has been continuity.
3 years after export controls began, AI is more critical to our lives and the global economy than ever. And control over that technology remains the key to growth, diplomacy, and power. John Su and Chris Gorin for TaiwanPlus.